Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate, we inspire, and we're going to educate you today with another amazing guest. This guy is epic. I'll tell you what, I had the pleasure of meeting him on Clubhouse first, and then I met him in person in Atlanta, and wow, we just connected, we bonded. He has a lot of value. Let's welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, Mr. Jack Lee Matthews. What's up, my brother? Woo! Innovation. Yeah, the crowd goes wild.
Man, I'm honored, man. I'm honored to be here with you, brother. You're the rock star, man. Like, that's what I love you, brother. I'm a big fan of your work and been following you for some time and just everything you do and the movement that you've created. You're amazing, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
No, well, thank you, Jack, man. I'll tell you what, I was looking forward to this time with you, man. Do me a favor. I know the amazing, beautiful person you are. Introduce yourself, please, to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, if you don't mind, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Jack Matthews, as Daniel mentioned. And, listen, I'm 30 years old. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I live in Florida, currently. Wasn't always that way for me, right? Very humble beginnings. Started out my mom's basement, my single mother. And, we were on food stamps. I knew at 17 years old, I came home, I flipped the light switch on. I knew I needed to do something different, and I took ownership, and that's made the biggest difference in my life. I decided to become an entrepreneur at a very young age and struggled for many years and still figuring this thing out, right? I don't think you ever fully arrive. But it's just, it's a blessing, man. And I've just been able to help a lot of people along the way. And that's what really gets me going.
Well, man, I tell you what, you're unique though. I got to give you yourself some credit because you bring a lot of energy. You have a beautiful heart. One thing that just really I admired about you was just that you're caring, and on Clubhouse you have some great rooms and you bring knowledge. And I think so many people, they get knowledge and they don't want to share it. And you're one of those that you have the knowledge and you want to share it and you want to add value to people, but you do it from a point of you're real. There's so many people out there that I see that are flaky. I mean, I'm just like, there's no other word to say, right? They're flaky. And I think where I met you in person was in Atlanta at GSD, and you can see right behind the scenes who's great and who's real. And then you meet those that are not so real. But I say that because to me, you're real. And I just want to thank you. That's why I wanted to bring you on the show, that we can add value. You said something amazing, right? You started your entrepreneur journey at 17 years old. So many of us right now, we're going on this journey of becoming that successful business owner, that entrepreneur. What is one thing that you see just as you're out there and really adding value to people that they struggle with and just really becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's very simple. We don't know our worth. We don't know our worth, man. We have to learn that we are so worthy, man. Like, we're God's highest form of creation, There isn't really much we can't do. Like you said, the only limits that we have is in our mind, right? And so when you really step into that, for me, I love helping people step into that, right? Because for many years of my life, it wasn't that way, right? It wasn't that way. I was kind of like that lost sheep out there, wandering in the wilderness. And luckily in my life, I've had people that come along like yourself, have come along and they've encouraged me, right? And I think that's what I always try to do for people, is just being a source of encouragement. Because somebody could be, I have this quote that, I say, God has a tendency of taking a nobody, right, and making him a somebody in front of everybody without asking anybody, right? And so you never know who people are going to become.
Say that again. I like that. Say it again if you don't mind.
I said, God has a tendency of picking people that are quote unquote nobodies to become a somebody in front of everybody without asking anybody. And so I've just learned to really look at the people that are in front of me and not look at where they're at currently in that moment, but like, where could I help them go, right? And I think that's what's helped me, even in my life, right, is just always knowing that wherever you're currently at, it's temporary.
Yes. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, get out your pen and paper. This is the part of episode where we say you need to take your notes, because here in the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, what you write down, you retain even more of the information. And Jack's going to drop some massive value. And he already did. Think about the opening statement. How do you value yourself? What is your worth right now? Your business maybe isn't growing. Maybe you're struggling as an entrepreneur. Maybe you've been in business for a year, for 3 years, for 5, and you're still struggling because you find yourself unworthy. And I love what you said, Jack. your worth. Talk to us more about that, because I don't think people realize it, right? People go to these conferences, these trainings, these masterminds, and it's amazing how you can have all the skill set, all the knowledge. And in my new book, right, the worth, I call it your financial inner economy. When you have a poor-minded financial inner economy, when you feel that you're unworthy, that trumps all your knowledge.
100%. Well, I think it's like, wealth, right? True wealth is of the mind, not of the pockets, right? I know some people that got plenty of money, but in their mind, right, they're miserable. I see that. I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to be the guy that had a bunch of money, but then be miserable, right? I want to have it all, right? I'm really do. I want to have health, wealth, happiness, relationships, right? But that all starts with that self-belief, right? Everything at the end of the day comes down to the story we tell ourselves, right? And so we have to realize wherever we are, we can move beyond it, right? Our pain isn't permanent. Now we can make it permanent, right? We can sabotage ourselves. We can be in victimhood, right? Stepping out of that and realizing you're not a victim, right? Whatever happened to you in your past, that was just part of the story, right? That's going to be the comeback story. And so it's really just about every day is a new day. Every opportunity is a new opportunity. And it's really stepping into that and owning that and living in that self-worth, living in the fact that you are God's highest form of creation. You can do anything now again, we live in the greatest country really ever. And so it's like the fact that it's here, right? Are we going to take advantage of it? Or are we going to also, are we going to leave it better for the future generations? That's another thing that's big with me is I want to help get the information from the people that have it to the people that need it, right? Because
Yeah.
I see the Bible even says that, right? It says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, right? It doesn't say we perish for anything else. It's the knowledge gap. And that's what I want to really convey to people is like, wherever you are and wherever you want to go, the only thing that's stopping you is this word called knowledge.
Well, I love what you said. Boom, baby. Victimhood. I'd never heard that word before. I like that. Victimhood. So how does somebody know that they don't feel worthy about themselves? I think so many times you start this journey of entrepreneurship, you're scared to get a coach, and then you finally get a coach, and maybe he's not the right coach, and then you invest one time, right? You invest one time, we'll just say $3,000 for a point of reference, and then, well, I'm never going to invest again, and that's not a business mindset. That's you're going to defeat yourself because you're interested in becoming an entrepreneur. You're not committed to it, and I believe you got to be committed to that. But how does somebody? What are some symptoms that you've seen that you've helped people through that? Your problem isn't this. Your problem is you just don't see yourself as worthy. What are some symptoms or some signs that people can say, man, I'm looking in the mirror and I never saw that in myself. And thank you, Jack.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to also, again, just the story we tell in ourselves, right? The story we're telling ourselves on a daily basis, right? If you step in and you have that warrior-like mentality, right? You have that resilience, you start building that resilience up. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? And this is why a lot of people sleep all day long. People don't want to wake up to their potential, to the fact that they could change their life, right? Sometimes it's easier to accept what you've been given, right? Even if it's because it's your comfort zone, right? And that was the thing for me early on in my story was like, I was young, I was living in a small town, I was stuck in this comfort zone. I definitely didn't have any self-worth. I definitely didn't love myself, right? It actually took tragedy, pain for me to wake up. And that's where most people, unfortunately, that's how humans, we learn. We learn through pain. But first, I would say you just got to wake up. You got to wake up, because I can tell you a lot of my life, early on in my life, I spent a lot of time sleeping on my own potential, right? And just not even stepping in, and nobody knows how far you can go. Nobody, like, who cares what anybody else says about you? What do you say about yourself, right? If you feel like you're worthless, then you're going to do things that are going to be in line with not being worthy, right? And then you're going to sabotage yourself, and it's going to continue to spiral out of control. Because these things, it's kind of like the compound effect, right? If we do good habits, we have a good life. If we don't have good habits, we have a bad life. And so it's really just about our habits, our daily routines. My success, I'll tell you, all of my success came through my daily routine. And that sounds very simple, but like, that's the truth. It's like our habits, our daily routines, just saying, you know what, I'm gonna do the hard stuff, the stuff that nobody wants to do, right? Showing up, caring, like even just caring, like, fixing your hair, right? Brushing your teeth, like the simple
Yeah.
stuff, man. Like, it's the simple stuff in life that really makes the big difference, right? Everybody wants to go out, hit a home run, but it's the mindset behind them. Just sometimes you just got to go get on base. Sometimes
No,
it's
I
not
love what
about
you're
being a
saying.
power hitter.
I love what you're saying because I chuckle because of this, because it it surprised me how many people during 2020, and they carried they don't realize they develop all these bad habits, not dressing up in the morning, just kind of going on Zooms, and everybody joked about it, half-fast dressing themselves. And even I've said this before, right? My wife, like, hey, like you gotta. I know we're working from home, but you gotta get dressed up, right? I want you to look beautiful. I mean, come on, right? It's like I see you, maybe somebody else don't see you, but we developed these bad habits, and then we carried them into 2021. We didn't have the year we wanted, but you spent 6, 8 months developing habits that weren't serving you, and that's what Jack's talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What habits do you have? How do you see yourself when you wake up? And I love what you're saying, Jack. So what are I love the terminology you're saying. So what are some ways that you've seen that people self-sabotage themselves? Because we hear this word, right? You said it, people use the same words over and over, and I agree with you on that. But I think this word's come up in many circumstances for different people, whether you're on IG, Clubhouse, wherever. But what do you see? What's a form of self-sabotage that you can give us? Maybe two or three of them that people don't even know where they're doing it. And dude, you're self-sabotaging yourself.
Yeah, I would say, for again, speaking to the younger me, would be instant gratification, right? Wanting it right now. We live in a generation right now where everybody wants instant oats, right? They want to snap their fingers and it just be, they're going to have their dream, right? And that, it doesn't work that way, right? You have to put the time in. The grind knows what you put in, right? And so, and you know what you put in as well. And that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, who cares what anybody else thinks about you? What do you think about yourself, right? What is the story? Why, revisiting, why do you do what you do, right? Too many people also just don't have a why, right? They don't have an understanding of like, all right, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And if you get away from, if you don't have a why, it's like a boat out at the sea without even you don't even know where you're going.
Yeah. No, I instant gratification. That's like everybody wants McDonald's, but they want to have the taste of the filet mignon, but it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't, man.
It
And the
doesn't
thing
work.
is that with when, here's the thing, when I remember before I had like quote unquote money, right? It's also about putting yourself in those types of environments. I remember going to Ruth Chris before I had money to buy Ruth Chris, you know? I remember putting myself in those types of environments, right? And all I had was the money to buy McDonald's, right? I had a McDonald's budget, but I would go sit, right? I would go sit at the Ruth Chris, right? I would go observe. I would watch people. I love watching people. And I think sometimes, especially in our generation as well, so many people are just quick to, talk, right? Like sometimes you need to take in, you need to observe, you need to learn, you need to observe, watch
Yeah.
as well.
What
You'd be
I love what you
surprised how
said.
far you can go if you just walk in the door, open the door and walk in.
Yeah. And a form of self-sabotage, what Jack is saying, ladies and gentlemen, is inactive. There's no action, right? You don't do anything. You know what you got to do, but since going back to the phrase that Jack opened up with is you don't feel worthy. So since you don't feel worthy, right, the root cause of the root is unworthiness, but the symptom of that is procrastination. So you don't take the actions you need to take, and you self sabotage yourself because deep down inside you don't feel you're good enough.
Yeah,
And
it's
maybe and
comparison.
maybe
They're comparing
maybe
themselves all day long. They're comparing themselves to everybody else, right? That's what's sabotaging most people out here in our world 2022, right? It's comparison. Because what comparison does is it instantly just robs you of all your joy that you have in that moment, right? And so it's like, and I believe really, I remember when I was younger, I used to always want to be happy, right? When people would ask me, Jack, what do you want to be when you grow up? The only word I would ever say was, I want to be happy. As I started growing up in life, man, I realized, man, it's actually not that easy to be happy, right? So I said, let me instead of trying to go for be happy, let me go try to see if I can create this thing called joy, right? And when I started finding the joy in the little things, right, not the big things, right, but the little things, man, being grateful, having that grateful heart, you open yourself up to magnetize yourself to miracles, really, truly miracles. But if you're not grateful for what you have, how would you ever even step into a bigger you?
wow. Okay, okay. So you got my attention there. So talk to us about magnetizing yourself. You got my attention there because I think I'm pretty grateful, but we're talking about something to this extent is gratitude is huge, but how does it magnetize you to a miracle? Talk to us about that, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's your beliefs, man. Your belief, we become what we believe, right? We become what we think about, right? If we're thinking about something negative, we're attracting ourselves to something negative. If we're thinking about something positive, right? the feeling, right? The feeling is the secret, right? So if you're focused on how would you feel, right, if you got a big check, right? Like some people don't even take themselves to that like dream world, right? Like how would it feel if you received a big check? Imagine your family, right? Your friends coming up to you, congratulations, right? But people don't dream like that, right? It's also about dreaming, right? Dreaming, you have to dream. We live in a world where society will tell you just to pipe it down, don't bite off more than you can chew. I believe you got to create your life, right? You got to see it before you, right? Because a lot of people say, well, I'll believe it when I see it, right? That's not the right way. The right way first is to believe it, right? And then you're going to be able to see it.
Yes. So tell me, Daniel, congratulations on your first $1 million month.
Congratulations, Daniel, on your first $1 million month. There's many to come. Congratulations,
Woo!
my guy.
Come
Where are
on,
we
baby.
going to dinner?
Yeah, I did it. I did it. I did it.
You did
So
it.
but see, just receiving that little role play right there, I'm like, thank you, Jack. I received my first $1 million month.
Exactly.
That's dream world because I haven't hit it yet, but one day I'm gonna hit it.
Well, here's the thing, man. You, as Michael Jordan said, right? He said, you miss every shot you do not take. You have to take shots. One of the things that I really believe in is we're going to fail. Failure is success, right? I wouldn't be where I am in my life without failure, because in failure, I learn information. That information helps me. It's data, right? It helps me know what not to do, right? So I think a lot of people try to avoid failure, right? That's what I see. They don't want to invest in themselves, right? They don't want to get around the right people. And I truly believe, right? We're one yes away from success. We're one decision, one altering life decision, a belief, even just role playing like that, right? To really, now you have that belief, right? Your life will never surpass your belief about who you think you are and what you're worthy of, right?
And I truly believe that one day soon I'm gonna have my first $1 million month. I'm gonna believe that. And
I know it. I do happen, man. And that's the thing, is that you can do anything that you set your mind to.
yes,
$1 million. Here's the thing about $1 million. $1 million today is very small. I would encourage people to start thinking bigger than $1 million, right? Start looking at like some of the top CEOs in America and look at what they make in a month, right? It's disgusting. It's disgusting what some of these guys actually out here in these big wells, what they be pulling in. You got to just dream that, right? And then you've got to figure out the ideas, the execution, the plans, and realize you're not going to do it alone. It's going to take people, resources, right? And so it's really about building that team.
yes. Well, we're saying this, and my son just got home the other day because it's spring break, and he was like, "Dad," he goes, "something interesting I found out today." So what's that? He goes, "Well, $100,000 of today in 2022 is really only $65,000." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, yeah, because $100,000 back in 2022, that was 100,000, but now it's just if you're making 100,000, you go back to it was 2000, it's really like $65,000 because of inflation. So if you're making $100,000 today, really it's 65,000 as to 100,000 was 100,000 in 2000, and we don't see that. So if you say what you said, $1 million is $1 million. It seems like a lot of money, but really now it's only buying you $650,000 of what it bought in 2000. So 22 years later, it lost what, 35% of its value.
Yeah, I tell you, the state of the US dollar, I mean, that is a whole nother conversation. But I tell you, you really also need to diversify, right? Like for me, that's a big thing for me as well, is I'm always looking at what's next, right? I love looking at what's next, not to be like a spectator, but really like look at the technology, right? The technology that's emerging in the world, and to kind of see, all right, like again, you look at, like, I always follow the big money, right? And I'm a sports guy, as you can tell behind me. And for the listeners, guys, I got a lot of like memorabilia behind me, right? I love sports, right? Well, if you look at, for example, LA Lakers, the LA Lakers, where, Kobe Bryant played, he played at the Staples Center. Well, it's no longer called the Staples Center anymore, right? It's called the FX Arena, right? Or I think maybe that's even the one down there in Miami. Like all of these different, systems, right? The old guard is kind of changing, right? And it's also just about being aware, right? Awareness is key. Learning, evolving, expanding, and just don't put all your eggs in one basket. And also don't take my advice as like this is what I need to do, but just understand that you should like have multiple flows, right? I believe that we all need multiple streams of income, right? Assets. That's what I also really want to help people create, is assets, digital assets. I believe, again, we're living in this time where the internet, the smartphone, has changed the game. And that's what fans plan, and that's what my company is we are helping people really like leverage the internet and sell their knowledge. And so it's just crazy, like the day and age that we living in is powerful. But people also have to realize this is not even a, it used to be, you're living on like Main Street, right? Today you're playing a global game, right? We're hosting these rooms on Clubhouse. There's a global audience. There's
Yes.
people from all over the world. Some of my clients are in the United Kingdom, right? Some of the people that we're doing business with are all over the world. And so it's really also just about realizing this is not the day and age that you grew up in, right? This is a brand new day and age. You can really be a major player in the game, but you have to be on the cusp of what's next, right? Because if we just wait till, it becomes quote unquote mainstream, well, then the opportunities probably, past us.
Well, think about what happened to you. You're talking, and what comes to mind is Kodak. Where's Kodak? No one thinks about Kodak anymore.
Yeah.
You can be the next Kodak. Kodak was a big corporation. For those that don't know who Kodak is, but they made cameras and they were there and they were innovative in their time with the cameras. But as just digital products came out, they never evolved. And then unfortunately, the iPhone put out of business the smartphone did, because no one needed to buy a camera anymore. But they had the opportunity to evolve and they disappeared.
You
And think
have to
about,
evolve. I mean, we're living at a
yeah,
time right now where you have to evolve. You have to get online. You have to build a personal brand, right? It's not about I have this company or that. It's about you, right? You're going to last regardless of what happens, right? You are a personal brand. You have stories, you have knowledge, you have insight that can help people.
people need to see that and they don't see it. So let me ask you this. People are hearing Jack talk right now. They're like, man, okay, well, Jack, well, you've made it, you've arrived, but tell us a time in your life where, Jack Matthews lost his confidence. What did you learn in that season, and what's the wisdom that you can share with us out of that, Jack?
Yeah, so I think it was 2017. I went through a divorce, and anybody that knows me knows full transparency. I'm very honest. I got married very soon, and you get excited, you meet somebody. I got excited, and 8 months later, it was in a divorce, right? And it was pretty rough, right? It was just at that moment, right? Your confidence is shook, right? You're like, man, like what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? And as I look back, I'll tell you this, man. Those times have made me who I am today. And had I not went through those moments, I tell you, we'd be having a completely different conversation today. And so I think you also have to trust that whatever you go through in your life, when you do lose your confidence, it's really to look in the mirror, to love yourself, right? And to get real with yourself, and to be more of who God has called you to be. Be yourself and be more of that. And don't shy away. I think today's world, they want you to shy away from it, right? They want you to just don't make too much noise. But I encourage you, man, get out here and don't tiptoe through life, but stomp through it, man.
Yeah. So what Jack is saying, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you've gone through a breakup, maybe you lost your big client, whatever that big loss is to you, and you've lost your confidence. It's only helping you to reflect to see what's really inside of you. Because sometimes you're stronger than you think and you're more capable than you believe, but you
100%.
don't see it because you're too busy focusing on the wrong things.
And that
So
was me
Jack,
for many years. For many years, that was me. I mean, I've had it all, right? I've had the penthouses, I've had the Porsche turbos, I've had it all, and I've lost it all as well. And so here's the thing, when those things happen, that's very humbling, right? Going back down the mountain is not so good of a feeling, right? And so when this happens, it can really destroy a lot of people. I think, in fact, it does destroy a lot of people. I think, but here's the thing: if you can do it one time, you can do it a million times, and it's really about the development of that's why you see these books behind me of the personal growth and self-development, right? The cars, for so long and early on in my life, right? I was always seeking those status symbols, right? I'm going to be happy when X, Y, and Z, right? And I would get those things and I would feel so unhappy. And I was like, yo, like, why do I feel this way? And again, it goes back into that self-worth, that conversation of again, I grew up, my mother was very struggling, and you carry those things, right? Those become quote unquote your paradigms, your belief systems. And so if you start rising out of that, there's a lot of like internal conflict, right? And so it's really about personal growth and self-development. One of the things that I'm always really a big proponent is that you got to grow, right? If you don't grow, you will go back down. You will lose, and that should terrify you, because it is terrifying. It is terrifying to lose everything that you've worked really hard for, right? Your dream car, right? Your dream house. But what I've learned in my life, none of that stuff matters. It doesn't make me. It doesn't break me. What matters is who I really am. Who are you? And that's what I would ask anybody on this call and that's listening is, who are you at your core, right? When nobody's watching, who are you? And that's who you really are. And so you got to work on that, right? You got to work on becoming the absolute best version of yourself when nobody's watching, because that's when champions are created.
Boom, baby. There you go. I love it, right? Who are you? What's your true character? What's your true character? I always say your true character is what you do when no one's watching. Do you walk into the bathroom and there's a paper towel and you just walk over it because you're like, I'm too good to pick up a paper towel? You can easily get another clean paper towel and just pick it up out of courtesy. Yeah. Or you say, no, that's below me. Well, if that's beneath you, you're never going to rise to the next level, because I'll tell you, that's something that I do that God puts in my heart, right? Pick up the trash. I'm like, really, God? He goes, yeah. Are you too good for it? Is it beneath you? But people don't think that. It's the little things that when you're faithful with the little, that's when God's going to give you more. Let me say it again. When you're faithful with the little things, if you're not taking care of the little things, how can you be entrusted with more?
Yeah. And you got to serve. I mean, the Bible even calls you, right? It says the greatest among you be the greatest servant, right? A lot of people, they ask me, Jack, what's the key to your success? My whole life, my bank account, everything changed, turned around for me when I made it about other people, right? When I got my eyes off myself, right? And stopped having a pity party for myself or wherever I was in that moment. And I just said, hey, and that's what I learned from Napoleon Hill, right? He always said, if you ever start to feel sorry for yourself, stop where you stand, find somebody that you can help, right? And so I've spent the last 11 years of my life just helping people, right? And also working on myself, yes, along the way. But it's like, as you're helping people, man, that's also going to help you, right? And you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to expand. And as you humble yourself, right, enough to serve people, to help people, to be there for people, right, to show up for people, you know, I believe that you get what you give, right? And if you give, you're going to receive, right? If you don't, if you're always making withdrawals instead of making deposits, then you're going to, unfortunately, it's not going to be a relationship, right? All relationships take two things. They take deposits and they take withdrawals, right? And it's about making more deposits in those relationships than you are making withdrawals.
Amen. So what keeps Jack Matthews consistent?
Oh man, just see him, you know, it's where my childhood, man. I never want to, like, one day, God willing, right, I'm gonna have a family, and like, I want to do everything in my power to be, like I said, you know, when we started this call, like, health, wealth, and happiness. I want it all, man. And that's what keeps me driving, man, is like, I want to leave a legacy that outlives my body.
I love that, man. You know, I gotta say, I'm enjoying this conversation because you're dropping so much knowledge and wisdom, and I hope our audience is taking notes, because, ladies and gentlemen, Jack's just speaking from his heart. He's lived this. He's made millions. He's lost it, and he's bounced back again. He has a phenomenal business. So really, I hope you're taking notes down and understanding. And I would even go back a second time and listen to this episode again, because the truth is, when we listen to an episode on whether it's iTunes or Spotify, we listen to probably about 30% of it. And then when we go back and listen again, you're like, wow, how did I miss that? Because you're not that in tune with it. I mean, even I do that. I listen to something twice, 2 or 3 times. But Jack, so let me ask you this. Somebody's listening to this. They're having issues. They're struggling with the business part of it, the entrepreneur part. What are the 2 best points, the 2 words of wisdom for business that you can give us?
Don't do it alone. Find the right people, man. Like, you know, like, and work hard, you know. That's it, man. Find the right people and work hard. It's not going to be overnight success, man. Anything that looks like overnight success took a long time, right? And it's really about putting the work in, right? Surrounding yourself with good quality people that'll believe in you. That's the thing for me, man, is it hasn't always been that I've had this belief, right? It hasn't always been that I've been this person, right? But as I've in my life, I kind of go with these 2 approaches, right? Never stop having fun, right? The day you stop having fun, right, is the day that, what are you doing it for, right? And then just get out of your own way, man. Get over the fear, right? So many times we have this fear, and you know what fear stands for. We all know what that means, right? False evidence appearing real, man. It's not even real. And so just step in, show up. Like I've learned in my life, man, good things happen when you show up. Nothing happens when you don't show up. And it's just about loving yourself, man, enough to show up.
Boom, baby. Nothing happens when you don't show up. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you showing up? Are you showing up not just once a month, not just once every 2 weeks or once a week? Are you showing up continually every single day? Are you being consistent in what you're doing? Are you being consistent in your actions? Are you being consistent in what you need to do to draw you closer for the vision? Listen to what Jack's saying. Jack, what's a scripture or a quote that you rely on when times of adversity come?
Well, it's actually 1 Samuel 16:7. It's the Lord speaking to Samuel, and he says to Samuel, he says, "But the Lord saith to Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for the Lord looketh on the outward appearance, but man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on your heart." Right? And I love that, man, because so many times in my life, especially when I was younger, right? I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. I was a real punk. And luckily, man, like I always had God. I found God at 8 years old, right? And I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me, right? And I remember a time when I'd gotten arrested. Let's just be honest, I'd gotten arrested, and not a good time in my life, right? And so when this happened, I'm like, what's happening right now? And I started really looking on my heart, and I was like, you know what? I'm out of alignment, right? I'm so out of alignment with who I'm called to be, right? The activities that I was doing, where I was hanging out, the people I was doing life with, right? All of these things caught up to me. And I think that's the thing, man, is that God, he's looking on your heart, right? And that's why also you mentioned earlier, right? I try to have a big heart, right? Like I try to really care, right? I feel like that really sets a person apart today. In today's world, a lot of people say they care, right? But do they show you that they care, right? Do they really, can you feel that they care, right? And I think that's everything, man. Like we have one go around at this thing called life, man. And it's really about making that impact, right? Making that impact. You never know. What I've learned in my life as well, man, is I lost my best friend at 19 years old. He unfortunately took his own life. And what I learned is you never know what somebody else is going through. You never know. And sometimes the biggest smiles hold the darkest secrets. And so it's really about loving people. The highest vibration in the world is love. And listen, I'm convinced if Jesus was on this earth today, he'd be love, man. He'd be love. He'd be loving people. And so that's what I just try to do, man. What would Jesus do? He'd be loving, man.
Say that quote again. Sometimes the biggest smiles, what?
Say it again.
The biggest smiles have what?
The biggest smiles have like the darkest secrets.
Wow.
And so, that's what I've learned, man, is you never know what people are going through. I've been so blessed in my life to work with some phenomenal people, A-list celebrities, you name it. I've worked with a lot of amazing people, and I've seen their pain, right? I've seen some of the things that they go through, and you'll never know, right? You see their YouTube videos, millions of views. You never know what they're going through. And so it's really just about realizing at the end of the day, everybody puts their boots on just like you do. Everybody's just like you. And the moment that you realize that, your life will change, because you can just be real, and the world will adjust. You'll feel more at home. Everybody else will feel better, and you'll make more of an impact.
Yeah. Just to go with what Jack's saying, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you never know what someone's going on behind the camera, just to say.
Yeah.
And I think of Miss America. I didn't really catch the full story of it, but I know Miss USA or Miss Universe in February, she committed suicide, and it's just, you don't know the pain someone's going through. So just because somebody looks a certain way on the outside, man, their heart might be broken. So take time to really maybe care today, and just get comfortable with getting uncomfortable and helping somebody out, or maybe just having a conversation. We're all busy, what Jack is saying. We're all got things to do, and it's reality, right? We prioritize our day, but there is days that maybe God's going to nudge on your heart and say, hey, take 20 minutes and call this person, or hey, take 10 minutes and talk to this lady at the restaurant.
And I'll say this because this is what happened to me. A lot of times they're trying to call you and you ain't answering. So I'll just tell you, making yourself available will do wonders for your life, for the people around you. And just never be too busy to answer the phone, right? I want to be the type of person when they see Jack Matthews pop up on the phone, that they answer it, right? You don't want to be that guy when they see your name pop up and you're like, oh, that guy again, like they'll turn it over. You never want to be that guy, man.
Brother, how does somebody get a hold of you? They're listening to this amazing episode. How do they get a hold of Jack Matthews?
Well, man, I'm gonna tell you what. There's many ways to get a hold of me. But my favorite way, I'm gonna tell you my favorite way, a little shameless plug from my company here, fansplan.com. Fansplan.com. Fansplan is a social media platform that I launched in the pandemic to help entrepreneurs be able to cash flow. And so check out Fansplan, follow me on there, connect with me on there, look me up, and would love to connect with every single person. For me, man, I'm a Leo, right? Lovely Leo. I love people, man. If you're out there, you're looking for somebody, if you just need an ear, right? Somebody to just listen. I love to talk, but I love to listen as well. And so if you ever need somebody just to listen to you and be there and ask questions, I'm here.
Love it, man. Thank you so much for being an epic guest, man. You dropped so much just wisdom, Jack. Thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll put his information on the show notes. That's a wrap for this week's episode, Jack. Once again, thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. As we come to the end of this episode, if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, go to danielgomezglobal.com. That's danielgomezglobal.com. And send us a message through our website there. We want to bless you with a complimentary 45-minute discovery session with our Shield of Faith coaching. And go to the makingsofamillionairemind.com. Pre-order our new book. Our course is coming out shortly too. We want to help you really grow and scale your business, grow and scale your life. Until next week, we'll have another amazing episode with another amazing guest like Jack on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Daniel.
This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's danielgomezinspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.